Have you ever stood at the checkout line, swiped your debit card, and suddenly the screen flashes, "Payment declined"? You feel embarrassed, the people behind you are waiting, and the cashier calmly tells you to try again. Most of us would simply swipe a second time. But what if I told you that moment could be the setup for a scam designed to drain your bank account in minutes? This trick is spreading quickly across grocery stores, gas stations, and even online, and seniors are being targeted every single day. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening, why it's so dangerous, and most importantly, what you can do right now to protect yourself. Seniors deserve peace of mind when paying for everyday essentials, not hidden traps that take advantage of trust and politeness. Before we get started, I'd love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments below, where are you watching from and what time of day is it right now? I read every single comment and can't wait to know. And if you find this video helpful, hit the subscribe button. If not, just tap like. Either way, it helps more people see this warning. Stay with me because what you're about to learn could save you from a financial nightmare. The hidden truth behind payment declined. Imagine this moment. You're at the grocery store, your cart is full, and people are waiting behind you while you swipe your debit card. The screen suddenly flashes, "Payment declined," and a quiet wave of embarrassment runs through your chest, almost like you did something wrong, even though you know your account has money. The cashier leans forward with a neutral look, maybe a little impatient, and calmly says, "Go ahead and try again." So you do, and the second time it works, and you feel relief because the moment has passed. But what you don't realize is that this is exactly when your card information may already have been stolen. In India, there is an old saying about the trick of the second chance, meaning a scam, that works best when you are rushed to repeat yourself. This trick has now found its way into everyday life here in the United States, quietly weaving itself into the most ordinary moments at checkout counters and gas pumps. Seniors especially know that sense of pressure when others are watching, the polite urge not to hold up the line, the desire to just get things over with and move on. That small moment of embarrassment, that quick decision to swipe again, is the opening scammers are waiting for. From a psychological point of view, it makes perfect sense. As we age, we value dignity more deeply, and we want to avoid unnecessary attention. Standing there while a machine says declined feels personal, even though it isn't. You trust the store, you trust the machine, and you assume it's just a glitch. But in truth, some payment terminals are deliberately tampered with or manipulated by dishonest employees to create that false sense of failure. The trap is simple. The first attempt captures your details, and the second attempt gives you a false sense of relief. Think about how much trust we place in familiar places: the grocery store where you buy milk every week, the gas station on the corner, or the local pharmacy where you've known the clerks for years. For seniors, these places feel safe, almost like an extension of home. That's why the scam feels so unfair, because it takes advantage of trust built over decades. And yet the sad truth is that it isn't your bank declining the payment, but a clever trick hidden inside the technology or in the hands of someone who sees you as an easy mark. So what can you do right now? First, pause when you see that screen. Don't rush to swipe again. Ask the cashier politely for a printed decline slip. If they hesitate or brush you off, that's a red flag. Second, whenever possible, use a credit card instead of debit, because your money isn't pulled directly from your checking account until the bill is due, which gives you more protection. Third, remind yourself that dignity doesn't come from speed at the checkout line. It comes from protecting your independence and your hard-earned savings. Yes, this scam is clever, but you are not powerless. Seniors have decades of wisdom, and wisdom means slowing down, paying attention, and not letting pressure push you into a mistake. Just like caring for your health, protecting your money is about steady habits and thoughtful choices. The next time a machine flashes declined, let it be a signal to breathe, not to panic. With awareness and patience, you can walk away safe with your dignity intact and your independence fully preserved. Why seniors in America are easier targets? When we ask why scams like the payment decline trick often succeed with older adults, we have to begin with personality and values. Many seniors grew up in a time when politeness was expected, when keeping the peace was more important than making a scene. Even today in a crowded store or at a busy gas station, many seniors would rather quietly try again than challenge the cashier or question the machine. This natural patience, this instinct to avoid conflict, is a virtue that once kept society civil. Yet sadly, it can be twisted by those who look for polite victims. Another layer is financial habits that developed over decades. Many older Americans still prefer debit cards over credit cards because they want to avoid debt, and that makes perfect sense. Living within your means is a deeply held value, especially for people who came of age during times when borrowing was risky and credit was seen as a burden. But here lies the danger. Debit cards pull money directly from your checking account, and once it is gone, it can take weeks or months to return. Unlike credit, where fraud can be disputed before money leaves your pocket, debit leaves seniors exposed to immediate loss. This very discipline that once kept them safe from overspending can now make them vulnerable in the digital age. Technology adds another piece to the puzzle. While younger generations check their banking apps several times a day, many seniors do not. Some prefer paper statements, some feel less confident navigating smartphone screens, and others simply value their privacy over constant online monitoring. The downside is that unusual charges often go unnoticed until they grow into larger problems. Scammers know this delay gives them more time to drain accounts before the bank or the victim realizes what is happening. That quiet gap between action and awareness is exactly what criminals exploit. Cultural trust plays an equally important role. For many older adults in America, the bank has always been viewed as a fortress of safety, a place where money is untouchable once deposited. That belief was earned over decades of dependable service, yet it does not always match the modern reality. Today, the chain of trust runs through machines, networks, and even clerks who may not always act with honesty. Holding on to the belief that the bank will protect me no matter what can lead to missed warning signs because the system is not foolproof. There is also a universal thread that connects American seniors with older generations in India. Both cultures place a high value on respect for those who serve them, whether it is a shopkeeper in Mumbai or a cashier in Texas. Respecting workers is a sign of dignity, but criminals can turn that respect into a weapon. If a clerk says try again, many elders will comply rather than question the instruction. In India, people sometimes say respect is like offering open hands, but open hands can be taken advantage of if the wrong person is in front of you. Consider two real examples. A grandmother in Texas swiped her debit card at a local supermarket, saw the dreaded word declined, and obediently tried again. Within days, $600 was missing from her account money she had carefully saved for medicine and groceries. Hundreds of miles away, an older gentleman of Indian heritage living in New Jersey faced the same situation at a gas pump. His second swipe seemed harmless at the moment, but by the next morning, someone had used his card details to buy airline tickets he would never take. Two different states, two different backgrounds, but the same thread of politeness, trust, and quick compliance. So what lessons can we take from these painful stories? First, know that your values of respect and politeness are strengths, but you must pair them with caution in today's world. Second, understand that using credit for everyday purchases may offer more protection than debit as long as you pay the balance each month. Third, consider setting up simple alerts with your bank so every transaction pings your phone or email, giving you awareness in real time without constant checking. Most importantly, do not feel ashamed if you have been targeted. Scammers choose you not because you are weak, but because you are trusting, respectful, and careful with money. These are qualities to be proud of, but they require new defenses in the modern age. With awareness and small adjustments, seniors in America can honor their values, protect their independence, and stay one step ahead of those who would exploit their kindness. The technical mechanics behind the scam. To understand why the payment decline trick is so effective, we need to look closely at how it actually works in practice. The good news is, you don't need a technical background to follow along because the methods are simple once you know what to watch for. The bad news is that scammers rely on the fact that most of us never think about what happens inside those card readers at checkout. One of the oldest tools in their playbook is the skimmer. A skimmer is a thin device that slides over the slot where you insert your debit card. It looks almost identical to the real machine, but it has hidden sensors that capture the numbers and codes on your card as soon as you slide it in. You still see the normal screen, you still hear the beep, and you assume everything is fine. But in reality, the skimmer has already stored your information and will later pass it on to criminals. It's similar to leaving your keys at the front desk and trusting that no one makes a copy. Only in this case, the copying happens instantly and without your knowledge. Other scams involve software that deliberately creates a false error. When you insert your card, the screen displays payment declined, even though your bank would have approved the transaction. This artificial glitch is designed to push you into trying again. By the second swipe, you feel relieved that the purchase went through, but your data has already been harvested. It is a form of digital misdirection, like a magician showing you one hand while the other hand slips the coin away. There are also low-tech variations that require no devices at all. A dishonest cashier or clerk can simply press the cancel button before the payment is completed. To you, it looks like the system failed, but it was a human hand that interrupted the process. With a calm smile, they suggest try again, and out of politeness, most people do. In that moment, they may already have skimmed your details or set the stage for later fraud. It reminds me of a saying in India about the spice markets of Delhi. A vendor might tell you that a handful of peppercorns is rare and precious, even though the same spice is piled high just around the corner. The trick is not about the pepper itself, but about the illusion that you are buying something special. In the same way, scammers create the illusion of a problem so you will act without hesitation. Think of it as sleight of hand performed at the checkout counter. A magician doesn't actually make the coin disappear. He simply distracts you so you don't notice where it went. The payment decline trick works the same way. The machine or the employee creates a distraction, and while your focus is on fixing the problem quickly, your personal details are being lifted in the background. For seniors who value keeping lines moving and avoiding a fuss, this psychological pressure can be especially powerful. So how do you protect yourself? First, give yourself permission to slow down. If you see an error, stop and look at the machine closely. Does the card reader look bulky, loose, or like it has an extra layer of plastic? If so, it may be a skimmer. Second, if the transaction fails, ask for a printed receipt of the decline. A legitimate system can always produce one. If the clerk hesitates or avoids the request, that's a warning sign. Third, when possible, use the tap-to-pay feature on your card or phone. This method uses encrypted codes that change with each purchase, making it far more difficult for criminals to capture anything useful. Finally, remember that you are not powerless in this situation. Just as you protect your health by being cautious about what you eat and how you exercise, you can protect your finances by being mindful of these subtle tricks. Knowledge is your best defense, and awareness gives you the confidence to act wisely. The scams may feel clever, but once you see through the illusion, you hold the advantage. Real-life stories that reveal the danger. Let me share with you a few stories that may sound like everyday inconveniences, yet turned into painful lessons about hidden scams. Each one involves an older adult who simply went about their routine, trusted the process, and ended up losing more than they imagined. These are not meant to frighten you, but to remind you that awareness can be your strongest protection. The first story comes from a grandmother in Texas who did her weekly grocery shopping at a store she had visited for years. She paid with her debit card, and to her surprise, the machine flashed. Payment declined. With people waiting behind her and the cashier encouraging her to try again, she swiped a second time. The transaction went through and she thought nothing more of it. 2 days later, her checking account was missing $600 money she had carefully budgeted for medicine and food. What she assumed was a simple machine error turned out to be the exact moment her information was stolen. Another case happened at a gas station in New Jersey, where an older gentleman, originally from India, filled his tank on a chilly morning. He tapped his card and was told the transaction didn't go through. Embarrassed and eager to get on with his day, he swiped again. By the next morning, his account showed airline tickets purchased across the country, a trip he never planned to take. The violation was not just financial, it shook his sense of security in a country where he had worked hard to build a safe retirement. The third story is quieter, almost invisible at first. A woman in her 70s noticed small charges on her bank statement, just $1 or $2 each. She dismissed them as errors or minor fees too small to matter. But these tiny amounts were not mistakes, they were tests. Criminals often run small transactions first to see if a card is active before making larger withdrawals. Within weeks, she faced a sudden loss of several $100s, all because she overlooked what seemed insignificant. As an old Indian saying reminds us, a single grain of sand in your shoe may seem harmless, but if you ignore it, that grain can bring you down after a few miles. What do these stories tell us? They show that scams are rarely dramatic in the moment. Instead, they hide inside ordinary situations, buying groceries, pumping gas, checking a statement. Seniors often feel embarrassed, blaming themselves for being careless. But the truth is, these tricks are designed to catch people off guard. The feelings of shame or silence only give scammers more power. Here's the takeaway: never ignore small signs, whether it's an unexpected decline, a cashier pushing you to try again, or a tiny unexplained charge. Pause, ask questions, and if something feels wrong, trust that instinct. Just as you listen to your body when something feels off with your health, you should listen to your gut when something feels off with your money. The good news is that knowledge changes the outcome. By paying attention to details, checking your accounts more often, and not rushing when a payment fails, you can protect yourself. These scams thrive on silence and speed, but they lose their power when you stay calm, question politely, and act quickly. You may not stop criminals from trying, but you can stop them from succeeding. Why this trick is so dangerous? What makes the payment decline trick especially dangerous is how ordinary it appears in the moment. A card being declined at checkout is something nearly everyone has experienced at some point, whether because of a weak internet connection, a dirty card reader, or a bank's temporary fraud alert. Because it feels so normal, most of us don't think twice about swiping again, and that sense of routine is exactly the camouflage scammers rely on. The real danger lies in how debit cards work compared to credit cards. With debit, the money leaves your account instantly. If fraud occurs, those funds are gone in seconds, often before you even leave the store. Banks can eventually investigate and return the money, but that process is slow and exhausting. Many seniors report waiting 30, 60, even 90 days for reimbursement. For older adults living on fixed incomes, that kind of delay can mean missed rent, postponed medical prescriptions, or weeks of financial juggling just to cover the basics. Beyond the financial loss, the emotional impact is equally heavy. Seniors who fall victim often describe feeling anxious, restless at night, or ashamed for having trusted the process. The shame is misplaced, yet it lingers because no one wants to admit being tricked during such a simple routine as buying groceries or paying for gas. In American culture, we grow up believing in independence and self-reliance, and for older adults, that identity runs deep. When a scam like this takes advantage of trust, it can feel as if part of that independence has been stolen too. But here's the part worth remembering. The risk is real, but it does not mean you are powerless. Just as you take steps to protect your physical health by exercising or following your doctor's advice, you can take small, steady steps to protect your financial health. Slow down when something feels unusual. Ask for a receipt if a transaction fails, and never rush because of pressure from a line behind you. Your confidence can be rebuilt not by ignoring the danger, but by facing it with knowledge and calm action. The warning signs you should never ignore. One of the most powerful tools you have against scams is simply noticing the small details that others may overlook. Scammers count on you being rushed, distracted, or embarrassed, so the first red flag to watch for is how the clerk behaves. If a cashier quickly urges you to try again without checking the machine or offering an explanation, pause for a moment. A legitimate employee will usually take the time to investigate, perhaps even print a decline slip before asking you to repeat the transaction. When someone is too quick, it is worth slowing yourself down. The second warning sign is the machine itself. Card readers should feel solid, well attached, and consistent in design. If the reader feels loose, bulky, or as if it has an extra layer of plastic on top, that is suspicious. Many skimming devices are designed to fit over the original reader, and while they can look convincing, they often don't fit perfectly. A gentle tug or even a closer look may reveal that something is off. Seniors who grew up fixing appliances or checking their tools before use will recognize the wisdom here. If the machine feels wrong in your hands, it probably is. Another important clue is timing. Normal card transactions happen quickly, especially at familiar places like grocery stores or gas stations. If the screen takes far too long to show an error, it may mean a hidden program is processing your information. That unusual delay can be a red flag, just like a car engine that suddenly makes a strange noise. Most of us know when something doesn't sound right and money deserves the same attention. Sometimes the warning sign doesn't appear at the counter, but later in your bank statement. Many seniors have discovered small charges of $1, $2, or even $5 that they didn't recognize. These are not harmless mistakes. They are test transactions used by criminals to confirm that your card is active before they move on to bigger withdrawals. It's like a burglar rattling the doorknob before deciding whether to break in. Don't dismiss these little amounts. Report them immediately because they may be the first sign of a larger theft. Perhaps the most important signal of all is your own instinct. In America, we often call it a gut feeling, that quiet sense that something just isn't right. In Indian culture, elders often say, when the stomach whispers that something is uneasy, stop and pay attention. That wisdom applies perfectly here. Your instincts are the result of a lifetime of experience, and they should never be ignored. If a transaction feels strange, even if you can't explain why, step back and protect yourself. The lesson is simple but powerful. Don't let politeness or pressure override your awareness. Seniors have spent a lifetime learning to read people and situations, and that skill is still your best defense. By noticing the signs, trusting your gut, and acting without fear of judgment, you can prevent a scam before it ever has the chance to succeed. As we come to the end of this video, I hope you're taking away one simple but important reminder. Staying aware, slowing down, and trusting your instincts can protect not only your money, but also your peace of mind. These tips are shared for general awareness. If you're facing any health challenges, be sure to check with your doctor before trying anything new. Nothing replaces the guidance of a trusted physician who knows your personal needs. I'd love to hear from you. Share in the comments what lesson or feeling stood out most to you today, or if you prefer, simply type the word HOPE to let me know you're walking forward with positivity. And before you go, please remember to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss our next conversation, and share this video with a friend or loved one who could benefit from hearing it. May your days ahead be filled with calm steps, steady health, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are not alone on this journey.